What's up guys, welcome back to Code My Hobby. In this tutorial we're going to be learning how to build this light theme and dark theme card effects using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Now when we hover on this, when we click this little icon over here, you can see how it changes from light theme to dark theme, and also the text color changes from white to this kind of blue or greenish color. Okay, so it's a really nice build, nice project. And now I want to show you something real quick. So you can see we're at 15,000 views, guys. This is huge. So make sure you subscribe. We're almost at 1,500 subscribers. So if you're new here and you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and after watching this video, make sure you share it with your friends, because we have over 84 videos, and as you can see from the statistics over here, the views are dropping a bit. So let's get back up, guys. Let's get back up. This video is so helpful, and it's really interesting and self-explanatory. I explain everything in detail for you. So if you also want to get the source code, it's going to be in the description below. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. In our VS Code, and I just have my CSS imported over here, and this box icon for the icons we're going to be using for this tutorial. So head over to boxicon.com and copy the CSS link. You should get the CSS link, copy it, and you paste it in your HTML file. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do, head over here, is to create a div, and we're going to give this div a class of toggle. Okay, so we'll be using that later on. So create another div and give this a class of container. Now in this container div, we're going to have three sub divs with classes of card. Okay, so in this card, we're also going to have another div with a class of box. Then we're going to create a new div also with a class of content, a div over here with a class of icons. So this is where our icon will be. Okay, and go over here, and we're going to say h3. So this is for basics, for basic plan, and this we're going to have a h4 over here. So you should remember, from if you follow the HTML and CSS crash course, you should remember me talking about the sub and the superscript and subscript. Okay, and over here we're going to have 25. Okay, so save this, and we're going to create a URL for the list, and over here we're going to import our box icon. So we want this to be checked. Okay, so say bx check. So save this, and over here we're going to say 10 GB space. So they're saying 10 gig space. So we're just going to duplicate this. So copy this and paste it. Paste it over here. So we're going to remove this class. Well, let's just remove the okay, we're going to change this class to X. So you should see what I'm doing in a second when we check our live server. Okay, then in this icon we're going to have icon over here, box icon, let's say class, let's import the icon. So say bxs paper plane, and under this UL we're going to have a button, and this is not going to go anywhere. So inside this button we're going to say order now. So yeah, so that's a single card, and we're going to copy this card and paste it 3 times, or 2 times rather. So copy, paste, and paste. Okay, so I'm just going to change a few things. So go over here and we're going to change this from basic to standard. Also, we're going to increase the price. So let's say $50, and we're going to increase this. So let's say 20 gig of space, and okay, let's change this. This is going to be, so this is going to be 5 domain names. This is going to be 20 email address, and this is going to be live support. So this is going to be checked also. Okay, no, let's leave this as it is, and let's correct this. So this is going to be, let's say, 3 domain names, this is going to be, let's say, 10 email address, and this is going to be live support. So copy this div, copy, and paste it over here. Okay, so we're going to change this to premium, and also we're going to increase this. Let's say, should we say 50? Yeah, 50, it seems fair. And this is going to be 10 domain names. Let's also say 50 email addresses, and live support should be checked. Okay, so that's all. Now save this and open with live server. Okay, so you can see the icons. So let's change the icons for this standard and premium. Let's change the icons. So I see we made 2 basic plans, so let's get rid of one. Okay, so over here we're going to say let's say, I think it's plain ALT, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, here should be plain ALT, and also here should be rocket. So save this and go back to your browser. You can see the icon for the standard plan isn't appearing. Yeah, so let's check why. Okay, so it's not paper plane, it's plain. I'll save this. and we should have, okay, so it's looking nice. Okay, so now let's move to the CSS. Remember to import your CSS. Okay, so now we're going to use the global selector, and we're going to get rid of the margin. So this is going to have a margin of 0. It's going to have a padding also of 0. We're going to have box sizing, border box. Also, we're going to have a font family of sans serif. Okay, now we're going to select the body, and we're going to display flex. Because you should have observed that those elements were block elements. So justify contents to the center and align items also to the center. And we're going to set a background color to like gray. Okay, so say 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 7. And the next thing we're going to do is to select the container. So go to your index.html, copy the container class, and go back over here and paste it. Okay, so we're going to display this flex. Then you're also going to justify contents to the center, and we're going to align the items also to the center. And the next thing we're going to do is to wrap this. So say flex wrap, and this is going to have value of wrap also, and we're going to set a max width of 1200 pixels, and we're also going to add some padding. Say 100 pixels, 0 pixel, and 50 pixels. So save this and head over to your browser. Okay, so you should see the side by side now, justify to the center. Okay, so now we're going to select the card. So say go over here and say container, and let's copy the card class. Copy, and we're going to give this a position of relative, and we're also going to add min width, of 320 pixels. I'm also going to add height of 500 pixels. Now, in the HTML and CSS crash course, if you did follow along properly, you would understand this next part easily. So that's the box shadow. So we're using the inset value. So we want this to look like it's deep inside. So say 5px, 5px, 5px. I'm going to set a background for this, RGBA 0, 0, 0, and this is going to be 0.2. Now we're just going to copy this and we'll paste it over here. Okay, so this is going to have a comma, and we're going to move this. Okay, so we're also going to set this to 5px, 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 and this is going to have an RGB of 255, 255, 255, and this is going to be 0.1, sorry, 0.3, this is actually going to be 0, 0, 0, and this would be 0.3, this would be 0.1, and this will have a value of -5, -5, and this is 15 pixels, not minus. So we go over here also and do the same thing. So say 5 pixels, 5 pixels, 5 pixels, RGBA 255, comma 255, and also this is 255, and the alpha value is going to be 0.1. Now we're also going to add a border radius of 15 pixels, and this is going to have a margin of, let's say, 30 pixels. Head over to your browser. Okay, so you should see they have space now. Okay, so it's looking nice. Okay, so now let's select the box. So say container.card.box. This is going to have a position of absolute, and we're going to give this a top of 20 pixels. We're also going to give this left value of 20 pixels. I'm going to move this to the right also, 20 pixels to the right, and bottom should be 20 pixels to the bottom. And we're also going to have, go back here, we're going to have a background color and this is going to be #2a, #2a, what's the color code, 2b, 2f here. Okay, so it's going to have a border, and this is going to be 2px, sorry, 2px solid ash. So we're going to use like the light gray, which we've been using, 2af, sorry, 1e1, okay, f23. Okay. So that's kind of like a darker version. So now the next thing we're going to do is to add a box shadow to this. So say box shadow, and we're going to make this 0, 20 pixels and 50 pixels, RGB 0, 0, 0, 0.5. So this is RGBA. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is to display this, make this flex. Okay, we're using flexbox, so we're also going to align items to the center, and we're also going to justify the contents to the center. Okay, so save this and go back to your browser. Okay, so you should see how it looks like coming together. So you can see how it looks like coming together now. It's looking more presentable. Okay, so now we're going to make a hover effect. So say container card, and this card is going to have the hover effect, and lastly we'll say box. So now we're going to add a transform, and we're going to translate y. So we're going to move it up a bit, minus 50 pixels. So if you've been following the previous tutorials where I talked about translate and transform properties, so you should know what this is going to do. So also we're going to add a box shadow, 40 pixels and 70 pixels, RGBA 0,0,0,0.5. So save this, and we're going to add a transition over here, and this is going to be on the transform property. So say transform 0.4 seconds for this transform hover effect, and the box shadow also should have a duration of 0.4 seconds. Okay, so let's check our browser. So you can see when we hover on this, it moves up a bit. So you can see how it's moving up, and you can also see the box shadow and the background. You can see the shadow in the background. Okay, so that's really nice. So that's progress. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is to select the content. So say container card the box the content. So always make sure you're selecting the right class. So let's copy this and go back here, paste it again to just be sure. Okay, so it's correct, and we're going to give this a padding of 20 pixels. We're also going to align the text to the center. Now we're going to select the icon. So say container dot card dot box dot content dot icon. Okay, so now we're going to give this a position of relative, and it's going to have a width of 80 pixels, also a height of 80 pixels, and it's going to have a background of red, so we can see this. We're going to get rid of the background later. So this is going to have a margin of 0 auto. Okay. Now we're going to display this flex. We're going to use a flex box here, and we're also going to justify content to the center and align items to the center. Now the next thing we're going to do is to add a border radius, and we want this to be a complete circle, so we're going to say 50%, and also we're going to add a margin bottom of 10 pixels. So save this and go back to your browser, so you can see the icons over here with the white background, with the red background. Okay, so we're making progress. So now the next thing we're going to do is to change the color. So say container, we're going to grab the card, the box, the content, the icon, and lastly the box. I think, okay, yes, the bx, which is the box icon class. So say the bx, and we want to change the color of this to white. Also, we're going to add a font size to 2em. So you can go over to your browser and you see that the font size is bigger and the background color is red. Okay, and the color itself is white. Okay, so next thing we're going to say, I'm going to grab the h3. So say container dot card dot box dot content h3. Now we're going to increase the font size of this, so 1.8 em. We're also going to add a color of white, and we're going to add a font width of, let's say, 300. Okay, so now I'm going to copy this in case we need to use it as we're moving on. So make sure you copy this. Okay, so go to your browser and you see the text is looking nice. Okay, so scroll down a bit and let's grab the H4. Okay, so add a color of white to this also, and we're also going to increase the font size to 3 em, and the font width of this is going to be a bit darker, so that's 700. So also let's grab the span, the H4. Sorry, the superscript. Okay, so let's grab the superscript. Okay, so also we're going to increase the font size of this. We're going to make this 0.75 em, and we're also going to add a font width to this of 300, so it's not so bold. Okay, now the next one we're going to grab is the UL, the list. Okay, so we're going to give this a position of relative. Now let's save this and check our browser to check what we've been doing. So yeah, it's looking really nice now. Okay, so you can see it's looking nice. Now let's style the UL component, the list. So okay, we're going to paste this again and grab the li. Let's get rid of those dots, so you say list style none to get rid of those dots, those circle dots, those bullet points. Also, we're going to make this have a text color of white, and we're going to add a margin to this, 5 pixels top and bottom, 0 pixels left and right. Also, we're going to grab the check, so this class bx check. So say ul.bx check, and we're going to add a color. So we want this to be like a green, so green should be H0F0 if I'm not mistaken. Yes, okay. Now we're going to get the other box icon, which is dot bxx, and we're going to have a color of like red, which is H0F00. So go back to your browser to see what we're doing. Okay, so you can see it's really looking nice. Okay, really looking nice. So now we're going to work on these buttons to make them look even better. So go back to your style, scroll down a bit, and now we're going to grab the anchor tag, and we're going to give this a position of relative, and we're also going to make this inline, so display inline block, and we're going to add some padding. So this is going to have a padding of 0 pixels left and right, 20 pixels top and bottom. We're going to have a background color of, let's say, like brown or red. Okay, which is red. And also we're going to add a margin top, and let's give this 15 pixels. Okay, so next we're going to make this circular, so let's add the border radius of 20 pixels, just a curve by the edge. And we're also going to add a text decoration to this. I'm going to remove the text decoration rather, and we're going to add the color, which is going to be white, and the font size should be 400, which is not so bold. So go back to your browser, see what we've done. Just going to increase this. Okay, so you can see the nice looking button over here, really looking nice. So now everything is coming to place. So now we're going to work on something which is a bit complex, so make sure you follow along 100%. Okay, make sure you follow along 100%. So let's paste the class views. Let's copy this. Okay, so go over here, and now we're going to set the. Now what we're going to do is to set an individual background for this element, so it's not going to be red. Okay, so now we're going to select the anchor tag, and also we're going to paste this here again, and we're going to select the icon. So now how do we select an individual element? So we want to select one element, which is this first one. So we want to select only this one. So how do we do that? We use something called the nth term, the nth child. Okay, so now we're going to grab the first child. Okay, so now we're going to change the background color of this to like a blue, which is #2196 F3. So that's like a sky blue. And we're also going to have a box shadow of 0 pixels, 10 pixels, 20 pixels, and this is going to have an RGBA of, this is going to be 0.2. so let's see how this looks like. Okay, so you can see it looks really nice. Okay, so now we're going to change these two also. So copy this, and we're going to change it. So you can see with just this little trick we can change an individual element having the same class. So this is going to be like pink. So let's add the color of like pink, E9, I think, 1E63 if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and also we're going to change this to like a yellow. So that's 97 DC47. Okay, so save this and check your browser. Okay, so it's looking really nice. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to select is this toggle div. So now we're going to work on the toggle div. So go over here, grab the toggle, and we're going to add a position of absolute to this, and we're going to move it to the top a bit. So we're going to say 20 pixels, and also we're going to move it to the left, but we want this to be calculated. So say left calc 50%, 30 pixels, and we're going to select, going to add a width to this of let's say 60 pixels, and the height also should be 60 pixels. Now the background of this is going to be transparent. Okay, and this is going to have a color of white, and also we're going to add we're going to add a cursor, so it's going to be like a pointer. So when your cursor on it is on it, it's going to be like a pointer, so it's going to have the pointer effect. So let's add the border radius to this. That's the curve by the edge, so let's say 6 pixels should be fine. And we're going to display this flex. Also justify the content to the center and align the items to the center. So now we're going to select the before and after elements. You can check your browser to track your progress. Okay, I'm going to select the before and after elements. So say toggle so this is going to be for, so say toggle, so this is going to the toggle effect is going to be for switching between the light and dark mode. Okay, so if you're wondering what we're doing, it's going to be to switch between the light and dark mode. So say content, okay, and we're going to grab, and say f185, okay, slash f185. And okay, so now we're going to need fonts awesome for this. We're going to need a font awesome, I think. Yeah, we're going to need a font awesome, if I'm not mistaken. And this is going to be, it's going to have a font size of 24 pixels. So let's check. Okay, so we're going to have to use font awesome also, so we can import that. So I would import that real quick and have it linked in the description for you to get. So I've imported the font awesome. Imported the font awesome on my HTML. So this is going to be // f185, and I hope it works. It's still going to work. It should work for you. I think there's a problem with my browser, so it should work perfectly fine for you. Okay, so now we're going to move on, and we're going to say .body. So now the next thing we're going to do is to talk about the JavaScript. So let's go to our HTML. Okay, so now we're going to say script, and we write our JavaScript code in this script tag. Of course, you can make a JavaScript file, but the lines of code we're going to use here are not much. I think just 6 to 8 lines. So we're going to say const body. So we're creating a constant equals document dot query selector body. So now what this is doing, is that it's selecting the body, which is this. So it's selecting this. Okay, now we're going to say document dot query selector dot toggle on click. And so what we're doing now is that we want something to happen when we click this button over here. So now we're writing a function, and the function is going to carry that out for us. So say body dot class list dot toggle dot light. Okay, so definitely we have some error. So this is const. Okay, so yeah, that should be fine. Now we're going to wrap this in parentheses. So we have an error over here also. So I'm just going to check what the error is real quick. Okay, so we're going to get rid of this dot. So yeah, that should be fine. So what we're basically saying is that we selected the body, so when we click that little button, we're telling this JavaScript to add a class called light. Okay, so it's adding a class called light, which will be adding to our CSS. So that's going to make the function work properly. It's going to make the function work properly. So go back here and say toggle. Sorry, you say body dot light. So now we're going to add a background of transparent, and also we're going to add a color black. Okay, so now we're going to select the body again, and we're going to add a before element to this. So now what we're doing is when we're on light mode, we want the color of the this button over here to be black, and when it's on dark mode, we want it to be white. So say content /f186, and also yeah, that should be all for this. So now we're going to set the background of this to white, kind of like blue, white with a hint of blue. I don't really know colors that well, so yeah. Okay, so you can see it has like a little shade of blue. Okay, I'm just going to refresh this, and it's still not working. I hope it works for you, because Font Awesome hasn't been working for me lately, and I don't know why it has been like that. So say body. Now we're going to add box shadow effect to the cards. So say box shadow, and now remember we talked about insert in one of the crash courses. I think that's the box shadow class. So make sure you watch the video to understand what we're doing over here. So this is going to be 0.03, and we're going to have a comma, and we're going to copy this and paste it over here. Okay, so go back here, and we're also going to paste a couple of times to get rid of this insert and this one. So I just want to align everything properly. Okay, so this is going to have a negative value. Now all of this was explained in the previous tutorial, so I'm going to leave it I'm going to leave it in the description for you to check out if you don't understand some things. Okay, so we're going to change this to 255 255 255, and this is going to be 0.5. Okay, so also this is going to be 255 255. This also is going to be 0.5. Okay, so yeah, now save this. So save this, and we'll go over here and say body light. I'm grabbing the container, the card, and the box. I'm going to add a background to this. I think it should be EP F5 FC. Okay, yeah. And we're also going to remove the border, so say border none. Lastly, we're going to add a box shadow to this, so say 0, 10 pixels, 20 pixels, RGBA 0, 0, 0, 0.1. Don't know what's wrong with my text editor and the browser. So this is box shadow. So save this and let's see what we've gotten so far. So when we click on this button over here, it should change. So I'm just trying to make sure it works, because of the font awesome that's not working. So I hope it works at the end of this tutorial. So say body.light. So grabbing that class, and what we're going to do is to add more box shadow to this. So this is for the white mode when it's on light mode. So I want to add a box shadow to this boxes, okay, those cards. So say box shadow 0, 20 pixels, 40 pixels, and this is going to have RGBA of this, yes, so that's fine. Also, we're going to change the color, so say body, let's just copy this, and this is not going to have any of our effects. So lastly, we're going to select the content, because we want to select the H3, the H4, and the UL. So say comma. So let's copy these classes, paste them, and this is going to have an H4, and this is going to have a comma. Lastly, we're selecting the list, and this is going to have a color of like the light blue. So I think it's 328-3B1. So you can see it's not what we want. It's not what we want, because this is what we're planning to build. So first of all, you can see over here that this has a box shadow, which is quite evident, and also this is what I'm talking about, the function which will be enabled with JavaScript. So you Okay, so we've used this to check what our error should look like, and now let's go into our text editor and find the errors. Okay, so first of all, we selected the body, not creating a class called body. So let's delete these, the dot in front of the body, okay, and also delete this. So make sure you delete all the dots in front of the body. Okay, so body isn't a class, it's a tag, so there's no need for a dot in front of the text body. Okay, so we've done that, and we need to check again to correct some things. So this is going to be, this should be 15 pixels. This also should be 15 pixels. This also 15 pixels. So save this. Okay, now let's scroll up. Okay, so scroll up, and this is going to be the third child, so this should be the third child. Okay, so that's the fun thing about programming. You realize your mistakes, and it might take you some hours to figure out what steps you missed, but when you figure it out, it's going to be really helpful that you figured it out. Okay, so also this is going to be 15 pixels at the end here, so add one in front of this and also add one in front of this, and this is going to be 0, not letter O. So save this. Okay, so yes, that's looking nice. Okay, so that should be all for here. Then for the JavaScript, over here we've said body.classList added this class called light. So this isn't how you import your class list. Now the class list begins with a small letter, it's not a capital letter, it's a lowercase letter C. Okay, so lowercase letter C and uppercase letter L, so class list. And when we save this and go back to our browser, we should have a nice looking card. Okay, so you can see the hover effect, and when we click this toggle button over here, you can see it works perfectly fine. So I'm going to have the source code linked in the description for you to download and check if you're having any errors. And I think this should be responsive because we use Flexbox. So let's inspect. So you can see it's quite responsive. It's quite responsive to certain parts. It's quite responsive. Okay, so let's change. Let's see the view on an iPhone X. So it's responsive, guys. So yeah, this is a really neat project, and we used just 4 lines of JavaScript to achieve the light and dark mode, which is a really cool effect. So yeah, make sure you practice this and also build more projects. So when you build more projects and you like me to check it out, please leave a comment in the description, in the comment section rather. Leave a comment for me, or you can send me a DM on Instagram. I'm going to have it linked in the description for you, so in case you want to reach out to me on Instagram, you can follow me there. And I also post useful content on tips to becoming a better web developer. So make sure you follow me on Instagram and also follow me on GitHub so you can get all my source code. So yeah, this was a really fun project. I had fun building this project. I hope you did too. So that'll be all for this tutorial. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.